Wow, there's just tons of little red wigglers on this tree. I'm transplanting it to make it grow better because you see it's root bound. So I need to loosen these roots and let it grow. 5 years ago when I moved off grid, I had no soil that was really nutrient dense, just the loamy soil you find out here in the high desert. And I slowly started to gather manure that was out in the fields from the cattle that had been grazing to start my manure. Then I got chickens and I had rabbits for a while and goats, and now the horses, they create a bountiful amount of manure. On top of that, I'm constantly adding to my compost system eggshells and coffee grounds and anything I can throw in there. And I've broken down hundreds of pounds of compost and manure, and then I mix those in with each other and make a really good soil, probably better than anything you can buy at the store. And in addition to that, a couple years ago, I added red wiggler worms. Someone was nice enough to send me a small package, and then I bought a small package, and together, I never expected that those worms would last through the winter. I started them off in my compost system just outside here at the bottom, and I didn't really see them again until the next spring. I dug down to see, and sure enough, there's lots of red wigglers. And then I picked a space in the geothermal, which is actually near where that tree is now, and that's where I started them off. And eventually, when I planted the tree, I dug down deep enough to get some red wigglers and threw them into the tree where I had the pot, because the tree started in a pot. And now when I dug the tree up, there's just huge amounts of red wigglers in there, and not to mention there's quite a few down the way in the garden. And what they do is they chew up all of that compost, which is already nutrient dense, and then they poo, and it turns the soil black, and it's even better soil. And so that's why you might want to add red wigglers. And if you're in the high desert like I am, rest assured they'll make it through the winter and you'll have better soil for it. I ordered 25 bluegill for the aquaponics system. I'll set them in the top reservoir here so that the temperature of the water in the bag can level out to the same temperature in the aquaponics system before I let them out. The water in the aquaponics system here has been cycling for a couple years now, so I think we're ready for fish. So why add fish to the aquaponics system? There's a bunch of reasons. The tank in the bottom is for the fish. The fish leave nutrients behind in the water. The water is pumped up to the upper tank where there's plants. Right now there's a tomato plant growing up there, but it won't grow very well unless there's nutrients. So the fish provide nutrients for the plants to thrive, and you can grow plants this way. I can keep little feeder fish up in the top compartment or duckweed or other things like that. And as you cycle the water, you're supposed to pull out a little bit of water periodically and put some fresh water in. And that water that you pull out can be used to water the geothermal or the garden. And it's also nutrient dense, helping the rest of the plants in the greenhouse grow. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that I raise meat. I grow a lot of my own fruit and vegetables and meat here on the homestead, and while I keep around 400 pounds of pork on the homestead at all times, which is about enough for a pound a day. And I also have eggs from the chickens and occasionally a chicken. I thought that it might be nice to have some kind of a game fish, so occasionally I can pull a fish out and fry up some fish. Now that it's monsoon season, my 4,500 gallon pond should fill here pretty quickly. And now I have a huge pump for that system that I never had before. With that pump in place and the shade coverage that I plan to build over that pond, I should be able to keep that pond algae free and thriving. And we might try out some fish in that pond as well. And once I throw that bridge across the top, we might use it like a little dock and go out there and try our hand at fishing. After the fish had a little bit of time to acclimate, I threw some food in there just in case they were hungry. And unfortunately, they didn't really go after the food. But they've been stirred up during shipping and whatnot. And so we'll try again in a few hours. I bought 100 pounds of fish food, a couple years ago. I've been meaning to do this for a long time. And since these are just little baby bluegill, I'm just crushing up the feed and then I can sprinkle it in to the aquaponics system. One of the questions I get more than anything is, how do you pay for everything out there? And a large part of it is my website. You can check out the link in my bio, frugaloffgrid.com. I've got lots of ebooks, courses. I've got a free ultimate guide to off-grid living. It'll tell you everything I know for free. You can get my webinar, try my colorful teas, my black powder tonic. I make a chunky corn flour that's ground down from really good corn that I locate from local farms and whatnot. So check those out and we'll get back to the video. Now that they're a little more familiar with their living space, you can see some of the fish going after some of the food. And that's all that we need them to do to keep them happy and healthy in the system. Three weeks ago, I showed you guys the garden, and here's a little bit of an update. A lot of people seem to think it's impossible to grow food out here, and even just a few weeks ago, a lot of people were like, wow, it sure don't look like you got much in there. But it's because the monsoon season just started. It's just starting to really rain, and the temperature is right, and as you can see, there's lots of stuff sprouting up now.